The JAL returned to action last Sunday, March 5th, featuring several stars such as Colton Titus and Chase Johnson. There were also a number of rookies making their debuts in the league. The afternoon got started as opening day always does, with the defending champions receiving their title plates. Gage Metzger on the end there with his now former Bambinos teammates. In the opening game, it was the Bambinos taking on the Fog. First time in league history, the number 1 and 2 preseason ranked teams squaring off in the opener. Here was the first pitch of the season. Colton Titus sticking a screwball right down the middle at about 80 miles per hour. Bottom of the first, Chase getting off to a little bit of a rocky start. Bases loaded, nobody out, already a run in, and then Colton Titus rips this double down the right field line. Later, still nobody out, bases loaded. Colton Titus back up, and he hits a bases clearing triple, makes it 7-0 in the second inning. Cowlitz is nursing an early lead. Colton Titus starts working the curveball. Look at this pitch that he throws to Chase Johnson. And then here he comes back against Brett Hoover with another one. Clearly the Fog were not ready for that. Bottom of the second, Chase starts shaking off the rust and looking a lot better. He gets out of the second inning with no damage allowed. We're going to skip now to the top of the fourth. Cowlitz has added a few more runs. It's 10-0, 2 outs, bases loaded. Fog need to get something going, and Chase is the man to do it. He chases a curveball outside, turns it into a double. Here's a replay of it. Very good effort to get out there and get on it and get some points on the board. Bottom half, Chase still stays really solid in the circle. Outside of that first inning, he was really good pitching in this game. There's another look at that screwball, and then he gets Trey Hartley to close out the inning. Still 10-2, final inning, but the Fog need 8 runs. Colton Titus is not going to let them have it. That was really the story of this game. Colton Titus just way too dominant. Pitching, he only gave up 2 runs and 1 hit. Offensively, he had 4 hits. 3 of them were triples, 7 RBIs. Like I said about Chase, he had a really nice pitching game after that first inning, but he just didn't get any help offensively. And frankly, he only had 1 hit himself. The Fog didn't have Sean McFarland in this game, their second best player, and Chase's sort of like Batman Robin teammate. He definitely would have helped. I don't know if he would have made up 8 runs, but I think overall you really just got to tip your hat to the Bambinos and especially Colton Titus. Ryan, what do you think of your team in the first game?
Solid start.
Colton?
We should be fine.
Solid start.
Hardly any rust there. What were you seeing on those pitches? Seemed like you got a lot.
Same old.
All right, second game of the day, Texas Bison and Kansas Lawmen. There were 8 total players on the field in this game, and get this, 4 of them were rookies making their debut, including Gunnar Burt, the Lawmen's pitcher, here in the first inning, giving up a grand slam to also rookie Krister Embry. This was also Embry's first career at bat. Pretty impressive way to introduce yourself into the JAL. Gage Metzger getting to be an ace pitcher for the first time in his career. That's why he went to the Bison this offseason, and he did not disappoint in his first showing. Look at these pitches. He goes 3 up, 3 down to start the game. Second inning, it's Embry again with the stick. That's a bases clearing triple, 15-0. They pushed it up to 18 before flipping sides. Back to Metzger, catching the inside edge on rookie Kai Chaney, and then painting that slider all over the board. Lawmen still scoreless entering the third. Here's Gage Metzger with bases juiced, ripping it right to Nick Proudfit, but he drops the catch. Later in the inning, Krister Embry getting another hit. This one is a triple. Gives the Bison their 30th run. There was 2 more innings of this game, but not a whole lot different changed. Metzger obviously had a great debut pitching for the Bison. Embry and Metzger had great batting performances. Of course, for Gunnar Burt, it was a tough debut, but that happens to rookies. Definitely think he can get a lot better moving forward, but in this game it was just all Bison and not a lot of anything for the Lawmen. Let's hear from Gage Metzger now after the game. First game as a Bison, how'd it go?
I think it went pretty well. They were biting on a lot of pitches that weren't strikes and not biting on pitches that were strikes. I think it worked out pretty well. Pitching went great. It's probably the best I've ever pitched. And the hitting, Joey's got some things he needs to work on, but I think it went pretty well.
You look like you're sweating a bit. Was it tiring out there?
Yeah, a little bit. I try to not sit still for very long. I try to get back in my spot and just get back to business.
All right, game 3 of the day, and after the first 2, there's no doubt everybody was thinking that the Bambinos would absolutely put the hammer down on them. They pitch Eric Titus in this one, and it actually didn't go that way right off the bat. The Lawmen showed some fight at the bottom of the first. It's 3-0 Lawmen, and Nick Proudfit in the circle for them in this game, and he actually looked pretty good right out of the gate. Nice screwball there to open up the game. But then it's Trey Hartley, the Bambinos' new rookie, getting his first career hit, and it is a solo homer. Later in the inning, Colton Titus gonna rip one deep as well. But we're in the second inning and the game is still close. Lawmen have 2 on, 2 outs, only down 3-5. Eric Titus starts to find a groove, no runs allowed in that frame. Flip to the bottom half of the inning. Nick Proudfit still doing some impressive things in the circle. Look at this curveball that he gets for the second out on Trey Hartley. That is pretty nasty. 9-3, bases loaded, 2 outs. But Colton Titus keeps being a major problem for every pitcher in this league. That's a grand slam. Later in the inning, Nick's still looking for that third out. It's 13-3, and Colton is going to rip a double to the side. And now the Bambinos are definitely in control of this one. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and Colton gets another double. The Bambinos start running away with it in the third inning. Eric gives up a run on walks, but other than that, he keeps cruising through the Lawmen lineup. He knows he's got a huge lead to work with. Bottom of the third, bases loaded, nobody out, Colton Titus up. Extremely dangerous situation for any pitcher, and Colton rips a triple to nobody's surprise. Later in the inning, 25-4, Eric Titus going deep. At this point, this one is over, but we'll go ahead and skip to the 5th inning to show you Trey Hartley, who got some action at pitcher, and some of these pitches weren't bad. I mean, especially look at this one here, this slider that he gets Carter Lloyd out on for the final play of the game. And it might be something to keep an eye on there for the Bambinos, having yet another star pitcher in the making, maybe? Anyway, here's the stats for this game. Everyone on the Bambinos obviously hit really well. Nick Proudfit gave up a ton of runs in the game, but to be honest, you feel bad for him because you watch some of those pitches in the highlights, and there were others, if you watch the whole tape, that they were good pitches, and the Bambinos they hit him, and that's just how it goes sometimes when you play the Bambinos. So I don't think that his pitching was even half as bad as the final score and the stats indicate. And now for the final game of the day, Fog versus Bison. And because the Fog were 0-1 and how well the Bison looked in their first game, this was a very, very interesting game going in. Here's Chase looking good through the first inning. We're skipping to the bottom of the second where it's 5-3. Chase Johnson getting a hit off Gage Metzger. Everybody that plays in this league knows that is extremely hard to do, hitting that slider of his. There's the rookie Zeke Smith striking out on it. Top of the third, bases loaded, 1 out. Chase is in a jam. He's able to get that big second out, but then Gage Metzger scores a run with this single. Bison in control in the bottom of the third, up 8-3, 2 on. And something that was a bit of an issue for the Fog in this game was swinging at pitches that didn't end up hitting the zone. You just kind of felt like they played a little too desperate offensively. Could have got more base runners. Probably could have scored more runs with more discipline. Here's a great pitch from Chase in the top of the fourth. 2 outs, bases loaded to Embry, and he gets out of it. This game is still plenty within striking distance for the Fog, but Gage Metzger just starts painting the zone with some nasty stuff. Look at this slider that he just barely taps the top of the board. And then here's another example, Zeke Smith swinging a what would have been a walk. Top of the 5th now, final inning. Krister Embry, the rookie, getting a leadoff single there. And at this point, Chase Johnson's arm is really starting to give out. He's losing speed, he's losing accuracy, and it's 10-3, bases loaded, only 1 out after this pitch here. He just hands the ball off to Brett Hoover to come close out the game. Basically, they concede the loss, and he was in pain, just didn't have the stamina to keep going. Not being able to pitch all the way through multiple games in a day without burnout has been something that's been a little bit of an issue for him in his career so far. It was very apparent in this opening day. I think the need for the Fog to develop Brett Hoover as a number 2 relief option pitcher is going to be something that gets talked about a lot moving forward, especially because the Fog are 0-2, which means their chances at this point of ending up getting the 1 seed in the National Conference aren't exactly great. And if you aren't the number 1 seed, that means to win it all, you got to win 3 games in a day, and I just don't see Chase being able to pitch 3 games in a day. I mean, he has a hard time getting through 2 a lot of times, so I think that is definitely something that is a concern for the Fog moving forward, and they're going to have to figure out. Looking at the stats, of course, Metzger had a big game pitching again. Batting-wise, they weren't great getting hits, but they did a nice job of being diligent in their at-bats, drawing walks, and getting easy runs. The Fog got a bat better. Like I mentioned before, Sean McFarland was out for this game day, which is a big loss for them. And granted, they went up against Colton Titus and Gage Metzger on this particular game day. But they've been one of, if not the best offensive lineups for the last couple seasons in the JAL, especially during regular season. And they just came up short today. The offense it wasn't there. They weren't getting hits. They weren't drawing walks. They weren't getting easy runs. They were swinging outside the zone. Overall, just not a great day for them, and now they're in a little bit of a hole, 0-2. We'll see how they respond moving forward in the season. The 2 biggest takeaways on this day are definitely the Bambinos and how good Colton Titus was. And number 2, the Bison looks scary, and Gage Metzger could legitimately win MVP this season. He looked that good on opening day. All right, that will do it for the first Game Day's Best of the JL 24 season. This is Commissioner Cale Johnson. Thanks for watching.